So hello friends, I hope everyone is doing great and hope my YouTube channel is helpful to the audience. So today I picked up another topic on Azure. So today we are going to talk about the Azure Virtual Network Peering over here. So I've just prepared a small documentation around that. So it's very small PDF, and this is the total diagram what we are going to address in a subsequent video. This maybe in a first glance this diagram will look may complicated to some audience, as we included so many things apart from the peering, like VPN gateway, user defined route, EDR, user remote gateway, on-prem things. So over here, so it's really looks very critical first phase. But today we are not going to discuss about this criticality. Rather, we will be talking about this particular simple thing over here. So what is the purpose of this video is that we are going to create two Azure VNet 1 and VNet 2 correspondingly, and thereafter we are going to create two subnet over here. Our VNet address is this one for the VNet 1, and the VNet 2 is 192.168.0.0/24. And obviously we are going to create two particular VM. In the left hand side, let be the VM name as this one, let be at VM1. Okay, now this is the VM1 and this will be the VM2. Okay, now initially we will not be establishing any kind of virtual networking peering over there, but eventually that's the target and we are going to achieve that. Initially we are going to give VM1 in the left hand side and VM2 to public IP address, and without the virtual network peering we will see that we can communicate, we can ping from VM1 to VM2. That's the first establishment of the connection, and the traffic will be coming from the public network, because in VM2 that's a public IP and that's a internet facing IP for the ingress. Now after that we are going to remove the public IP address of the VM2. Okay, the VM2 will only have the private IP address, so the communication will break at certain point of time. Now after that we are going to create a virtual network peering between the VNet 1 and the VNet 2, and thereafter we are going to do the same ping from VM1 to VM2, from left side to the right side, to just to show how by the virtual network peering we can access from one particular resource which is residing on a particular VNet to another VNet which is actually connected via the peering. So the virtual network peering, as we understood, that it is a communication between the VNet. So it can be a global in nature, can be a regional in nature. Means if your two VNet is residing on the same region, then obviously the peering is going to be called the regional peering. But it can happen that your two VNet is a different region altogether in the globe, and at that point of time if you establish a network peering, then it will be a global network peering. So here are a few points why what is the regional virtual peering, what is the global virtual peering, what is the difference between them, and all the points that I jotted down for Microsoft itself. So this is very small presentation. Let's jump into the actual demonstration on Azure, because in my channel I talk less and I try to demonstrate many things to the end audience. And let me open up the Azure browser for me. Here is my Azure browser. So I hope, if you don't mind, I just grab a cup of coffee, because sometimes on this long video, long study mats, I really feel some tiredness. Okay, so I hope you won't mind for that. Let's jump into the portal. So for this demonstration purpose, as I prefer to do always, I create a different resource group, that is the demo RG VNet for me. So as you see, there is no resource at all right now, it's completely blank. So the first thing, we are going to create two VNet. So obviously as I compare all these PDF, so what exactly I'm looking at, I'm going to create VNet 1 and VNet 2. Okay, so VNet 1 10.10.10./24 and VNet 2 192.168.0.0/24. Okay, so let us going quickly to the Azure network portal. Let us click on the virtual network. If you cannot find it over here, then obviously you are going to type it in the search box and virtual network will come up. Okay, so now let's create two virtual network quickly. Okay, so here we are in the subscription. I have to click the resource group. So that is the demo Azure VNet for me right now. I have to give a name to this. Let be demo VNet 1, demo VNet 1. Okay, this is the central area. Central India is perfect. Okay, that's fine. So let's go for the tag portion. As I told you always, I refer to the tag because it will be demo. So I will be picking up demo as my environment, and obviously purpose. Okay, that should be demo also. So I will show why it is very effective at the very last end when we go to the cost and calculate all the single search over there. Okay, so now just hit the review and create. So automatically it will be going to be reviewed by Azure first, then the resource, the VNet will be created for us. Let's wait for a few minutes so that our resource is getting created. Meanwhile, why not we quickly move back to create another VNet for us. Okay, so demo VNet 1. Okay, let's create another VNet. Okay, fine. Okay, now let me pick up the demo Azure VNet as my RG. Okay, that should be demo VNet 2 for us. Asia specific. Next, why I missed out in the VNet 1, I will come back to that. Okay, so in the IP address range, actually we need to specify the IP address what exactly we are looking for. As my documentation, it says that it started with 192.168. Okay, so of course I am going to give it a 192.168. So let me give it that. Okay, 192.168.0.0, and obviously I want this to be as 24 bit. Okay, that should be enough for my demo purpose. So under 24 I can assign 256 IP addresses. So among those 256 IP addresses, not all the things are available, rather Azure is going to consume 5. So out of that, whatever left, it's assignable. Okay, now under the VNet, as you see, under the VNet, a VNet can be dissected into subnets. Okay, subnet means as VNet is a total virtual network over here, so that we can divide this virtual network with a small subnet, a small box of the IP addresses ranges. Okay, so here is a default subnet. So I am just going to rename it something like subnet 1. Okay, that should be a subnet 1, and of course this segregation is saying that it is the IP address is 124. So what we want actually, if we want two subnet over here, and if we apply /24, as you see the VNet is on /24, so all the 256 addresses will be assigned to this subnet. Okay, so which is not worthy actually, because under VNet we really want to create multiple subnet. Okay, not that one subnet. So obviously we are going to change it from 24 to 25 so that we can consume 128 IP addresses over here for this particular subnet, and rest of that part will be consumed by another subnet if we create so. Okay, so let's create this one first. Subnet purpose is default, fantastic. Okay, no problem with that. Okay, so as you see, what it is saying that the starting address become 10.10.0. Okay, so this is provided by default by Azure. Okay, so obviously our VNet address is starting up 192, so obviously our subnet cannot be 10.10. Okay, so we need to change that also. So let it put it according to the VNet. Okay, 192 168, sorry, 168.0.0. Okay, now it will satisfy the condition over here. Okay, just hold on 1 minute. Starting address is fine. Okay. So as you see, so our VNet address is 192.168.0.0/24. Its content total 256 IP addresses, and we are dividing this particular VNet with one subnet. We are creating one subnet over here. Our subnet name is, as we give subnet 1. Okay, and we are using /24 over here, because if we use /24, then it will be consuming 256 IP addresses that is available to this particular VNet. So obviously we are going to use the half of the IP address that is available in this particular VNet for this particular subnet. So it is /25 sorry, instead of 24. So it will give us a IP address of 128 IP address total. Okay, now once done, let this route table, NAT gateway and networks NSG over there, just leave it over blank over here for now. This is very small demonstration purpose, so add it over here. So this is what we are going to create. Obviously we are going to include the environment tags over here, demo. Okay, and the purpose is also demo for us. Let's review and create. Okay, while it is being created, as I told you, when we are creating this particular demo VNet 1, we forget to actually let's go revisit the network tab, then we'll see what exactly we missed out. Okay, so here is the virtual network itself. Okay, now if you go to the subnet section, you will see the default. It is the default subnet of, let me open it for you. Okay, so as we do not specify any kind of address range at that point of time, so it picks up the Azure by default create a subnet. The subnet name is default. Okay, and it gives all the IP addresses that is available to this particular VNet. Like it is /24, then obviously 256 IP address will be available over here. Among them, as I told you, 5 will be Azure reserve. Azure is going to use those, and 251 is available for us to assign to any VM of sorts. Okay, so now this is the default configuration that Azure will provide, and in the demo VNet 2 we have configured our subnet /25, and we are using a small subset of the VNet. Okay, so once this is being done, let's move back to this one. Go to the RG. Okay, so obviously we are going to see that our two VNet is being created, VNet 1 and VNet 2. Now once this VNet has been created, then obviously we have created this particular VNet, two VNet over here, and also we created the subnet, okay, for the particular VNet. Now we have to deploy two VM, one for this subnet, one for this subnet. Okay, so obviously we are going to create two virtual machine. So let us create two virtual machine for us. Okay, I'm not virtual network, rather virtual machine I'm interested in. Okay, so let's create two virtual machine. So under the virtual machine option, you need to quickly create the pick the resource group over here. I'm taking the resource group. This is for my resource group. Yes, I'm interested to create Windows 2019 data center along with that. Okay, now under here you have to give the name of the VM. So let it be demo VM1 for our demonstration purpose. Okay, so it will be created on the central India, as the RG is created on central India. Okay, so under availability zone, so we have couple of options over here: availability zone, virtual machine skill set, and the availability set. Okay, so we'll discuss more on this. It is nothing but it is give you the redundancy of the system. Means if you having one particular VM on a particular availability zone, so it may have something like that, in the future the data center could have crashed, or due to power supply or the network supply, the data center is down. If you are not using the availability zone or the skill set or the availability set, then obviously what will happen, if your data center goes down, then the VM will be unavailable. That is not wanted actually. But for this demonstration purpose, I'm not interested in this to talk on these things. Okay, rather we'll be talking more detail onto this when we talk about the VM itself. Okay, on the upcoming videos. For now, let's keep it over here. Now, as I told you that the Central India has a 3 zones: Zone 1, Zone 2, Zone 3. So if you click to deploy your VM onto separate zones, like we are deploying our VM on Zone 1, and if you select the Zone 2 and Zone 3, of course, then what will happen? It will become the zone redundant infrastructure, so that if Zone 1 goes down, still Zone 2 or Zone 3 will be up. Okay, but for now I'm not selecting on those things. Now let's quickly jump over here. Okay, well, important thing about this particular structure of the VM. Okay, so you can click over here, and Azure give you the most popular structure that is used by the user. Okay, along with that different series of different VM. So we're not driving into this. Okay, let's pick up a small workable VM for us. Like let's see, we need a 4 GB kind of RAM. Okay, 4 GB RAM or 8 GB RAM should be sufficient for us. Okay, so let's opt out for this, because see, we are not running this VM entirely long period for 1 month duration. Rather, it's a very quick and fast demo, so we'll be tilting all the resources. So for now, let's select this one. Okay, but remember, if you are running with a low cost, and obviously you are doing a lot of practices over there, and your VM is up and running, then obviously depending upon your budget, you should be choosing the VM what exactly we are opting for. Okay, so let me give some default username and password for my login to this particular VM. So let me quickly type those things. Sorry, I have copied my password. I don't want to waste times. Okay, now here is very interesting thing. It says that inbound access or outbound. Okay, so this is all about inbound. So inbound means the traffic will be coming to your VM. Okay, so it's a ingress traffic. The traffic is coming from the different location to your VM. So are you going to allow it? So we are going to do the remote desktop connection for it. So obviously we are going to allow the RDP, and by default the RDP, let me zoom it a little bit. I think it's fine. By default the RDP is performed on 3389 port. Okay, so I'm just going for the allow selected port, and I'm allowing the RDP over here. Okay, so for the ping purpose, RDP is not enough. We need something else. We will talk to that. We will go to that thing later time period. So we are skipping the digs for now. We are interested only about the networking for now. Let's go to the networking. So obviously it is speaking of the virtual network that is available with this configuration or subscription. Okay, so for now it is picking up demo VNet 1. Exactly, we have wanted that. Okay, now the subnet, yes, we have only one subnet. As I told you that demo VNet 1 was created by Azure, and it assigned a subnet to the entire VNet. So obviously one particular subnet is accessible over here. So it is the only one subnet that is available, and it's /24. So the public address, yes, let it be dynamically assigned to Azure by Azure. Okay, so for NIC Network Security Group NS, so obviously NIC NSGs, so it's not as one, rather basic. Okay, so let's choose the basic first, with the basic firewall configured into the NSGs. Okay, we'll show it how it is looks like. Okay, now this is the public inbound port. So public inbound port is RDP 3389, we have already talked about. Okay, now so load balancing, for the load balancing options, okay, we have couple of options over here. If you are working on the network layer 4, actually the app load balancer is there for the TCP kind of load balancing. So load balancing is nothing, it's like that if you have more than one VM that actually going to respond for a particular request, then obviously you need to put it under some load balancer. So depending upon the configuration of load balancer, it can be regional, can be round robin or load base. Okay, so the traffic will be redirected to that particular VM. So the VM will be replicated under two, let's say two region over there. Okay, and the load balancer will decide which VM is need to send the request. Okay, so application gateway is another fantastic thing. So the difference between the load balancer and the application gateway is that the load balancer is working on the TCP layer 4. Okay, so obviously it is related to TCP and UDP, but application gateway is working on the HTTP protocol on layer 7. So it can handle with the traffic with the source of HTTP and HTTPS. So the fantastic thing about is that, so obviously as it is working on the HTTPS, so couple of options are there, like URL based routing. If you want to enable some URL based routing, rather than say that all your static thing like the slash images, okay, all the things goes for one particular VM, and all the dynamic queries that is coming to the request pool, that is going to the another VM. So that kind of load balancing can be configured in the application gateway, because it is dealing with the HTTP and HTTPS traffic load balancer. Okay, now also SSL permissions means SSL offloading. That's a fantastic technique actually. And session processing of web application firewall, web if you working over the web. So all the things are embedded into the application gateway. For this is a very small demonstration purpose. So obviously I'm not going to talk about the Azure load balancer application gateway, because I have only one VM. I do not have multiple VM to tackle this situation. Okay, so let's move on to the tag. Okay, so we need our tag. Let environment pickup demo, fine, and the purpose is also for demo. Now one thing to watch out, that when you create a VM, although you are creating one particular VM, but if you click on this combo, you will see that lot of thing underneath is getting to create to run this particular VM. Okay, right, the auto shutdown, availability settings, network interface, those NSGs, okay, those NIC cards, those NSGs, network security group, a public IP address will be assigned to the VM. Okay, so recovery service balls and lot of things are going to be created under the hood. Okay, so just to show you that although you are creating one particular resource like Azure VM, but ultimately it is going to create a lot of resources in the Azure itself. Okay, so come to the basic. So review and create it. Okay, so our VM will be created. The validation is complete. It says the validation is passed, and this is a download a template for automation. That's a fantastic option when we work on the ARM. So we'll discuss more onto that on a ARM video, but not right now. So I'm just creating a virtual machine, so it will be created. So as you see, the public IP address, because we offer a public IP address, so Azure is assigning as a public IP address for us. So public IP address itself is a resource, so it needed to be created by Azure. Okay, so it's being created. So all the NSGs, NIC cards, all are creating one by one. Okay, so ultimately after creating all those things, then it will create the virtual machine for us and assign those NIC card over there and the public IP address over there. Okay, so that's a process overall. So let's quickly move back to the creating another virtual machine. Let me create another virtual machine. Okay, let me show you something more interesting over here, that you can, although I'm clicking over here that Azure virtual machine, but you can still Azure virtual machine with preset configuration, you can click over here. So it's provided by Azure in the out of box, that for the tape and the test environment, this is the recommendation by Azure. For production, this is the recommendation of Azure. Okay, so if you need memory optimized, if you're working with a large data set for a data science application, then obviously your memory need to be optimized, and obviously your GPU need to be optimized. Okay, so these are different kind of offerings you can click, and you can just create based on the Azure recommendation. But for now, let me create my VM on my own way. So again, I'm going to pick the same resource group. Okay, so let it be demo VM for me. Okay, now all the things are same. I'm not going to change anything over here, and obviously your last VM is going to be picked up for your forthcoming VM. Means we picked up this particular configuration for the last VM, so Azure automatically picks it up to make it easy for us. Okay, so obviously I'm going to provide the username and the password for me. Okay, let me do that quickly. Okay, So all the things have been created. So this configuration I have already explained to you. I'm not digging into that, but I will be interested on the networking because the thing is that now I have to deploy this particular VM to this particular VNet. So that should not be VNet 1, rather it should be VNet 2 for us. Okay. So obviously in VNet 2 we have created one particular subnet, and if you remember, that is /25 configuration. So 128 IP address over here. So it's being automatically created. Nothing to say about it. Only just want to show you that we are creating this particular demo v2 on a demo VNet 2. Okay. So go to the, again for the environment I'm going to pick those things, purpose is demo. Fantastic. Let's review it whether we have done the things rightly or wrong. Azure will show us within a minute actually. Okay, so validation get first. So we just click creating our second VM, that is for the VNet 2. Okay, so let it be deployed on the same way. Meanwhile I will just go to my resource group, that is I created demo Azure VNet that we are working right now. Okay, so as you see, the resources are getting one by one created in this particular Azure. So now what we need to do is that we need to be able to ping this particular demo VM1 from our okay, let me go over it and show you. Okay, so just a glimpse of this particular VNet, what or VM, what, how and is being configured. Okay, so now if you go to this particular demo VM, the first thing you will be looking for is the public IP address. Okay, as Azure is assigned a public IP address to it, it is 20.197.20.43. Okay, now we have created another. Okay, let me go to the RG one more time just to show you. Okay, so as you see, if you filter by the type, then you will see that we have created this much of amount of resources where we have two VM1 and VM2. Okay, now if you pick up this particular VM2, okay, let me click on VM2. So of course the VM2 will have a public IP address where we want to send our ping. That's the whole objective, right? So as you see, that's IP address is 20.197.22.130. Okay, so this public IP address is associated with a particular network interface or NIC. Okay, once you click it, so this is the NIC for it. So once you click it, if you landed over this particular network interface card, okay, you will, if you go to the ID configuration settings, okay, so you will see that this NIC is containing this IP config. Okay, now this IP config says that the private, VM does not have any private IP or public IP. It is the network interface card that is associated with the VM that is providing the private or public IP address of the VM. Okay, so this is the NIC where one thing is there, that is called IP config. Okay, now under this IP config you will see that 192.186.0.4, it's dynamic in nature because it will be changing. Okay, once you shut down your VM, restart your VM, this particular IP address is going to be consumed from the subnet of 192.168. Okay, that for sure, but this 0.4 will be dynamic in nature, means it can be variating. So if you restart your VM, it is a high possibility that the private IP will be changing. Okay, but the public IP will remain same, and the public IP is given for us is 20.197.22.130. Okay, that's a private IP for us. Now what is interesting to see over is the NIC is that this is the subnet 122 address is free for this particular IP address. Okay, now once you go to the network security group, okay, so this is the network security group that has been assigned to this particular NIC. Okay, now if I move back, one thing I need to show you, okay, is that if I move back to this particular VNet actually, okay, so let's pick up this particular demo VNet 1. So under this demo VNet 1, if you type over the diagram actually, so the diagram will pop up. Okay, that's the diagram of our VNet. Azure is very helpful to give us as much help as possible by Azure. Okay, now this is a very small screen, I understand. Now let me zoom it a bit. Okay, zoom to fit. Okay, now I'm just zooming it up. Okay, now I think it is clearly visible to you, right? So as you see, this is the configuration of our VNet right now. Okay, so under this VNet we have deployed this particular VM, demo VM1. Okay, now this demo VM1 is actually associating with the NIC card, NIC. Okay, so that is the network interface. So the network interface, see, in the VM, see, if you go touch over here, okay, so if you go to the information, you see this particular VM, this line goes to this particular NIC. Okay, now in this NIC, the private IP set 10.0.0.4. Okay, that means that particular VM will have the private IP address as 10.0.0.4. Okay, so you can view detail also about this NIC where we are landing, as we are showing over you a few minutes back. Okay, so let me move back to the, so this NIC again, it is associated with this IP config. Okay, this IP config is actually containing the public IP address and the private IP address. Okay, now this network interface is also associated with the NSG, network security group. The purpose of the network security group is monitor the traffic, inbound and outbound traffic via some firewall rule. We'll be going to that direction. Okay, and this is the this is the IP address, public IP address. It is associated. See, look at the thing. This IP config is controlling this particular public IP, and it is also associated with the NIC. Okay, NIC only gives you the private IP address for now. Okay, so public IP address is in the IP config section of the NIC. Okay, and the virtual machine eventually will have this private IP address that is coming from this NIC. Okay, let me show you that. That is the 10.0.0.4, and obviously in the IP config address you have a public IP address that is 20.197.20.43, that is dynamically assigned by Azure to the particular VM that is still available with the VM. Okay, now if we move back and if we now focus on this particular VM2 for our demonstration purpose. Okay, now this is the, okay, let me go to the VM1 first. Okay, so this is the VM1. Now VM1 has a public IP address. Let me copy it. Okay, so as you see, we have not created any DNS zone, so obviously there is no private DNS zone available. Okay, so I have copied the public IP address of this particular VM. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to RDP, I'm going to provide a remote desktop connection to this particular VM. For that, I have a tool in my desktop, or you can simply go to this particular VM. You can just go to this particular VM. Okay, go under the connect option. Under the connect option, you can navigate to this particular native RDP. So you can download the native RDP file and do the RDP from here. Obviously, that's not recommended at all. You need to have a Bastion service over there to communicate, or at least a just-in-time policy being configured. So more on that upcoming videos. So for now, this is our latest. This is our VM1. Okay. So already I have done something over here. It's nothing. It's not related to the at all to the demo purposes. Okay. So it's only that I have using one particular software to connect to this particular VM actually. So that is all about. So let me go to the property, let me put the public IP address, that is a VM1. Okay, so I'm renaming it demo VM1 for us. Okay, that's a demo VM1. Okay, now similarly what we need to do is that if you go to the next VM, okay, let me open up the resource group. Rather, that should be the ideal way to work on this. Okay, I have already opened up the resource group over here. Now if I open up this particular VM, that is actually the demo VM2, let me open it up. Okay, is it open? Yes, it is open, and it is running also, right? So let me grab this particular IP address also. So that is the IP address of demo VM2. So similarly, I have to configure it to connect demo VM2. Fantastic. Okay, now let me try to connect it. Okay, so it is asking for more choices. Okay, yes, of course, that is my username. I have to give the password. Let me give my password to connect it. Remember it. Okay, fine, it's being connected. Now we are into the demo VM1. Same ways I am going to connect to the VM2. More choices. Yeah, more choices. Yes. Okay, remember me. Yes. So demo VM2 and VM1 also got connected. So this is our demo VM1. Okay, so in the demo VM1, and it is our demo VM2, so it's being initialized right now. So let it be initialized. It will take some time. Let it have the time actually. Okay, now the thing is that although this particular VM, demo VM2, has a public IP address already. Okay, so if you go to this console console of your laptop, if you ping /t, you will see that although I'm pinging to a particular endpoint, that's a public IP address of the particular VM, but you see it is requesting timeout, means it's not reachable. The reason behind that, although it has a public IP address, but the traffic is not reaching to the particular VM. The reason behind it, if you want to explore that, what you need to do is that if you go to this particular, okay, let me do the same thing from this demo VM1. As you may be asking question, it is your local laptop, how can it connect to Azure? So see, demo VM1, demo VM2 are both on Azure. Okay, so here is the configuration. So if left hand side is VM1 and VM2, both on Azure, but in different subnet and different VNet. Sorry for that. Okay, now if you open up the command prompt also from here, actually, if you type command prompt and try to ping this one, you will see there should not be no response from the VM2. So what exactly we are trying to do, we try to ping the VM2 from the VM1. Okay, so it is not reaching, the traffic is not reaching. Okay, so what we need to do in order to get the response from the VM2 for the ping factor, if you are in the VM2, you have to go to the network settings. Okay, now as I told you, when we create one particular VM to and attach it to one particular subnet, once the network interface card was created, along with the site, one thing also created, that is called the network security group, or the NSG. Okay, so NSG you can think as a guard, as a security guard, which is observing the inbound and outbound traffic for a particular VM over here. Okay, now as you see, only in the if you go to the inbound, you will see that only RDP, okay, that's a protocol of TCP on 3389 are being allowed. No other inbound connection is allowed. So obviously our ping will not work. And if you go to the outbound rule, as you see, the byte, so if you go to this emboss section, that is not clickable, okay, it's all defined by Azure. Okay, so it says that on 65500, it says that deny all inbound rule, or inbound connection, means anything that is coming as an inbound apart from this TCP 3389 port, everything is blocked. Okay, so we have to allow this for the ping to pass. For that, you need to click over here, go to the inbound port rule. Okay, now under the inbound port rule, what exactly we are saying that for ping we need the ICMP. Okay, now the action is allowed. Okay, priority should be, it is by default it is given as 310. The logic is it should be minimum than 65500. Okay, because it will override each other. Okay, the lower the value, the priority will get high. Okay, it will override the higher, low priority things. Okay, so allow any custom inbound connection, that's right. Okay, and source, you can specify those source target, source IP over here, or the IP addresses, service tag, or ASGs over here. But for now, leave it any. Okay, source port any. So I'm not changing anything over here. So only I'm allowing the ICMP from any source. Okay, any range and to the any destination for right now. Okay, so because we have only one subnet, we have only one VM, so any means one, that's it. Okay. So now you click on the add. Once this has been done, okay, so you apply the same thing for the outbound connection also. Okay, so let's pick the ICMP. Now here is the thing is that you need to make it start, means all put, don't forget that. Okay, so priority is 320, fine. So that is for the outbound connections. Okay, allow any custom any outbound, add it. So it means that in the network security group, in the NSG, we actually allowed the traffic to flow. Okay, now the question is that will the ping work right now? Let's see. You see, ping is still not working. Okay, although we applied the connection, although we applied the thing, applied the incoming and outgoing traffic for the ICMP, but it's still not working. Okay, what is the reason behind it? Now again from the VM1, if I ping the VM2, you will see. Okay, so it is not getting, still not getting the response from it. Okay, so let it be Control C, CLS. Okay, now one particular setting we need to change on the VM2. Okay, so what exactly we have done, we have bypassed the firewall. Okay, we create, bypass the firewall at NSG level that is associating with this particular subnet. Okay, it is allowing the traffic, but under the VM itself, if you type firewall, okay, now go to the Windows Defender firewall, because this firewall is in the VM itself. Okay, so we enable the traffic from the outside of the VM in the subnet level. Okay, now if you are in the VM, then you have to go for this particular advanced settings. Okay, let it be open up. Now once it being open up, it is very hard to work on this VM things. Okay, just bear with me. Okay, now let me make it big. Okay, now under the inbound rule, you will see that there is an option called file sharing, pin sharing, echo request, ICMP in V4, because we are accessing this particular thing from V4. Now click it. Okay, once you click it, you will see that it is not enabled by default. Okay, so we have to enable it. Apply. Okay, and you can do the same activity for the outbound rule also, but it's not needed, but we can still do it. Okay, so once this enable in the VM firewall itself, then we can hope that the ping will work. Let's see. Now go to the VM1, run the same ping process. Okay, where is my console? Yeah, Now see, magic. Now the reply from the VM2, which is 20.197.22.130 this is the public IP address of the VM2. Now the ping is coming back to us. Okay, so that's the first phase of the video. So let's do the similar activity from our local laptop. We can verify the fact it is working or not. See, it is working. So now we can ping to the particular Azure VM2, virtual machine 2, and it is we are getting the reply back. Okay, now our topic is to focus on this virtual network peering, which we have not done yet. Okay, now let's see if we go to the Azure portal and if we go to the demo VM2 that we are pinging and doing so many activity over there. Okay, now if you click on this public IP address, okay, so it has a public IP address, that's fine. Okay, and where it's being configured, you know that thing where is being configured, right? So this demo VM2 is configured the public IP address over here, okay, in this NIC. Now if you go to the NIC IP configure and let's edit the IP config. Okay, now see, so let me show you one more time. Okay, open up the VM, go to the public IP address. It is coming from this NIC. Click on this particular NIC. Okay, so go for the IP configuration in the NIC, pick up the IP config. Okay, now you will see that it has been assigned a private IP address dynamically. That's fine, but we are not interested in the private IP address, rather public IP address settings. Okay, now associated public IP address, it says, is saying that Azure give me one particular public IP address to assign to the VM. Okay, or sorry, in the NIC. Now if I want to remove this and save it, what will happen? So as you may have guessed, actually by removing this IP config, editing this IP config, removing the public IP address, what I have done, actually I removed the public IP address of this particular VM. Okay, as you see, it's gone. Okay, so now demo VM2 does not have any public IP address. Okay, now if you capture this particular private IP endpoint, okay, now obviously this private IP will never work from our laptop, that for sure, we know that, right? It will never work, it is not reachable, absolutely. So that's bogus, cannot do it. Okay, by this way we cannot do it. Okay, now if you more interestingly, now if you go to the demo VM1 and open up the same command prompt, now if you wish to ping this particular instance, demo VM2, you will see that you will get no response at all, absolutely no response. Okay, now the primary reason behind is that the private endpoint is not going to be accessible. Okay, until unless we make something very different. And what's the thing? Okay, that is the VNet peering. Now we want to establish a communication between this particular VNet 1 and VNet 2, so that each of the resources, those are residing on VNet 2 and VNet 1, can communicate, establish a communication between them. That's the whole objective of virtual network peering. Now once you come over this Azure portal and go to the networking, sorry, not networking, rather you pick, we have two virtual network, right? So one is the demo VNet 1. Okay, let me go to my RGs. Okay, one more time. Okay, so in the RGs you will see that we have two virtual network. One is the VNet 2, one is the VNet 1. Now you pick any one of them. Okay, just pick any one of them, that will do. Means VNet work on both sides. I will show you. Okay, now if you pick up this particular VNet, okay, now where is that network peering. Sometime okay, just hold on. Yeah, here is it. I'm getting old, not finding the good things at all. Yeah, so under this particular VNet we have an option called peering. Okay, once you click on the peering, then you will be landing to this particular page where it is asking you, yes, I understand that you want to establish a peer link to another VPN from this particular VPN. Okay, so give me some information about that. Okay, so it is asking for the name. Okay, so let it be VNet 1 to VNet 2, something like that. Okay, VNet 2. Okay, so it is from this particular virtual network. Okay, just leave the setting that way. We can discuss more on it. It says that allow VNet receive forward traffic and gateway transits, so all the things will be coming up. Okay, now remote virtual link. Okay, so it is coming, we are configuring the VNet 1 for the peering. Now it is asking which one you need to connect. You are opting for the connect. Okay, so first name it. So I am saying it now. It is a simple name, it can be anything. It is not important. The important thing is that under subscription, okay, you need to pick which VNet you are targeting to peer. Okay, so for our demonstration purpose, that should be demo VNet 2. Okay, and the same setting, whatever we see, the allow gateway transit, forward trafficking, all the things will be coming over here also. So just hit to add and let the peer work. Okay, now see, it says updating. Now quickly move back to the demo VNet 2 and see what is happening to the peering section of this particular network, because we have not done anything. We did not come over here, but see the magic. Okay, so it's automatically created the peering, because under the VNet 1 we create the peer to VNet 2 and we give the name, VNet 2 to VNet 1, and it's being created, it's connected. Okay, so the demo peer region is the demo VNet 1. Now if you go to the VNet 1, you refresh it, now it says it connected. Okay, so that means now these two virtual network, the peering has been established. Okay, now if you go to this particular demo VM1, which is on this particular VNet, okay, and ping from this VM1, if you ping this VM2, you will should see some response, because of this peering is now established. Okay, now let me do the same thing again. See, we are getting the reply from the VM2 when we ping the VM2 from the VM1. So that means that although this particular VM2, although this particular demo VM2 does not have any public IP address, we can still communicate with that particular VM with a private IP address. So what is the advantage of it? Okay, the advantage of this approach is that if you want this particular VM not to be exposed to the outer world, to the internet, okay, so it should not be having any public IP address, but you still want to communicate. Let's say you install a particular component, a particular software, okay, which is available in this particular VM, but due to the security reason, you don't want that particular VM to have any kind of communication with the outside world. Okay, so you can disable that thing in the NSC rule also, but really you don't need a public IP address for that, because if you remove the public IP address, so obviously from any outbound connection, if it is not paired with the particular VNet where the VM is associating right now, the VM will be not reachable. So you are actually shielding the VM from the outside, the particular VPN, and also outside any VPN that does not fall under the peering connections. Okay, so when you establish peering, actually what happened is that this particular VNet 1 and VNet 2 is going to marry to each other to form a common VNet. Okay, that's the concept of the peering. And one thing to remember, to establish a peering between two VNet, it is necessary that they should be having a separate IP address space altogether. That means if it is starting to 10.0.0.0 and VNet 2 should not follow that order. So I hope the concept is very clear to you, and if you really like my videos over this channel, so please do subscribe to this channel. Please put a comment, give your like, because your your likes, your comment, your subscription actually give me some reach, and also it boosts up my confidence, so that I'll be working more onto this technical environment on different cloud, and we will be able to represent you many videos in the upcoming future. Thank you friend for watching my video. Thanks a lot.